Honorable Yakubu Ado, Member of Parliament for Bura, will be seeking a statement in regards to the dilapidated state of roads in Tana River County. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 10 of the year 2024, is a bill currently at the second stage that members will be debating this afternoon. This bill seeks to give effect to some of the recommendations and views of the public that were submitted during the National Dialogue Discourse on issues of electoral justice and related matters, outstanding constitutional matters, fidelity to the political parties and coalitions, and the law of multi-party democracy. If you're just joining us, the business of the National Assembly is just about comments. The Speaker, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, is presiding over the business of the National Assembly this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over so you can follow up on this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Enjoy your viewing.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu. Tukusihi utasame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili tukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, ring the quorum bell.
The quorum bell is currently on at the National Assembly as per the directives of the Speaker, guided by the House Standing Orders in regards to matters quorum. The House lacks the requisite number to commence business this afternoon, and by all indications, we'll be waiting for signals from the Sergeant at Arms in regards to whether that particular quorum has been attained. And as we await for members to make their way into the chamber this afternoon, I was just taking you through the highlights in one of the agenda for consideration this afternoon, being the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill. This is National Assembly Bills number 10 of the year 2024 by the leader of the majority party in partnership with the leader of the minority party. The bill seeks to give effect to the recommendations and views of the public that were submitted during the National Dialogue Discourse on the issues of electoral justice-related matters, outstanding constitutional matters, fidelity to the political parties or coalitions, and the law on multi-party democracy, entrenchment of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, the Senate Oversight Fund, and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the establishment and entrenchment of state office. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill 2024 also seeks to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act number 9 of 2011 to clean up the Act by deleting obsolete provisions. The bill further seeks to make some consequential amendments intended to align the Act to the judgment of the High Court in Katiba Institute and 3 others versus the Attorney General and 2 others, wherein the High Court held that certain provisions of the Act were unconstitutional. The proposals in the bill are that Section 6 of the Act be amended and include experience in accounting or information and communication technology as additional professional qualifications for the appointment as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And the bill further seeks to amend the first schedule to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act number 9 of 2011 to increase the number of members of the selection panel from 7 to 9 in order to accommodate a wide spectrum of stakeholders and matters interested groups. Members of the National Assembly are streaming into the chamber this afternoon in their numbers, with all indications that at any given moment from now, will be signaled that the number has been attained. The House this afternoon will also consider enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms. This is a motion by the Chairperson Committee on Matters Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library.
Now we have quorum to transact business.
Has already been attained.
Clerk.
Allow me to hand you over.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, April 18th, 2024. 1, the Competition and Consumer Protection Law Digest, first edition from the Competition Authority of Kenya. 2, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements of the Public Service Commission, Car Loan and Mortgages Scheme Fund for the 6-month period ended 30th June 2018 and for the years ended 30th June 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023, and the certificates therein. 3, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2023 in respect of the following. A, Road Maintenance Levy Fund, Kenya Rural Roads Authority. B, Human Resource Management Professional Examination Board. C, Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service Staff Mortgage and Car Loan Scheme. D, National Government Constituency Development Fund Board. E, School Equipment Production Unit. F, Nuclear Power and New Energy Agency. G, Wildlife Research and Training Institute. H, National Research Fund. I, Council of Legal Education. J, Assets Recovery Agency. K, Tharaka University. L, Kenya Tourism Board. M, Hydrologist Registration Board. And finally, Mwea Rice Mills Limited. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation. Bowen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 18 April 2024. The report of the Departmental Committee of Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation, and its consideration on the Senate Amendment Bill to the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 18th April 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the budget implementation for the second quarter of the financial year 2023-24 with respect to 1, Vote 1011, Executive Office of the President, Vote 1012, Office of the Deputy President, Vote 1013, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Vote 1014, State Department for Parliamentary Affairs. Vote 1015, State Department for Performance and Delivery Management. Vote 1016, State Department for Cabinet Affairs. Vote 1017, State House. Vote 1024, State Department for Immigration and Citizen Services. Vote 1025, National Police Service. Vote 1026, State Department for Internal Security and National Administration. Vote 2101, National Police Service Commission. And vote 2151, Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, 18th April 2024. The report of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable AJAABU. Honorable AJAABU. Yes. Yes, Honorable Bokoyo. Give him the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order that, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Kagushi, a member for Mukurweini, steps into this House? Mr. Speaker, just recently, you read a very elaborate code of dressing in this bunge. The Honorable Kagushi has rudely walked into this House, dressed, Mr. Speaker, in a manner that is not parliamentary, Mr. Speaker. He even goes ahead, Mr. Speaker, to walk just below the bar, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, he rudely interrupts the proceeding of bunge by dressing in a very unparliamentary way. Is it in order, Mr. Speaker? And he's one who has sat in the chair at the county assembly, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it is actually in true defiance of your ruling, Mr. Speaker, which was very elaborate. Mr. Speaker, is it in order that the Honorable Kagusha continues to sit in this House?
Honorable Kagusha, you are improperly dressed. There is no provision for defending yourself. I belong to the same profession as you do, and in my 30 years in this House, I've never come in dressed like that. Although I also go to court and dress like that. So go and dress up and come back. Even your seniors like Chepkonga have never attempted that. You are a stranger in the House. Honorable Kagusha, you are a stranger in the House. You can't transact any business with the chair. Yes, Honorable Nguna, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm used to minority leaders sitting in front of me.
What is out of order?
Mr. Ruto is sitting in a position he is not supposed to sit, Mr. Speaker. We want communication whether his position in parliament has changed, Mr. Speaker. This seat is used to minority leader, but not Honorable Ruto. Mr. Speaker, I seek your guidance on this.
Honorable Nguna, you are wailing louder than the bereaved. The owner of the seat is not complaining. Honorable Yakub Ado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A request for statement regarding the dilapidated state of roads in Bura constituency in Tana River County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the deteriorating state of roads within Tana River County, specifically Bura constituency. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA, is responsible for development, rehabilitation, management, and maintenance of national roads. In carrying out these functions, KENHA receives funds as appropriated by National Assembly. Rehabilitation of roads is expected to be regular and as and when required due to damages that may arise from time to time. During the El Nino floods in 2023, the heavy rains caused adverse effects on roads, leading to road cuts in various sections of roads within my constituency, that is Bura constituency, in sections between Nairobi-Garissa and Garissa-Mombasa Road, which have adversely affected transportation system. The recent incident on 9th of April 2024 involving a bus swept away by floods in areas in Arer between Bangali and Madogo in Bura constituency in Tana River County underscores the urgent need for action, particularly given the road's prolonged neglect since the El Nino floods. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. Number one, why has the Kenya National Highways Authority, that is KENHA, not adequately bearing in mind that this is not the first incident. And Tana River County at large. Thirdly, and lastly, Mr. Speaker, what measures has the Ministry of Road and Transport taken to ensure equitable development and enhancement of key road networks
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
2 weeks?
Yes, 2 weeks will be sufficient.
Bring the statement 2
Thank
weeks.
you.
Next, Mada Wangari, MP Gilgil.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding the organic fertilizer GPC brand distributed at the National Cereals and Produce Board to farmers in the country. Honorable Speaker, the government has been distributing subsidized fertilizer marketed as organic to farmers under the name GPC Plus Organics. Regrettably, farmers have reported instances of stunted crop growth and diminished harvest following the use of this fertilizer. Recent investigations have revealed alarming findings indicating that the fertilizer circulating in the market may be a counterfeit. Furthermore, tests have been conducted on the fertilizer have shown that it does not meet the requisite organic standards as set at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS. Honorable Speaker, the effects of this issue extends beyond agricultural setbacks as they pose a direct threat to food security in the country and the livelihood of our farmers. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on the following. Number one, could the chairperson provide a report detailing the results of standardization analysis of the precise composition of the fertilizer and the criteria that guided the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock and KEBS in approving the distribution of the said fertilizer to farmers. Number 2, could the chairperson state the plans the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock is undertaking to 1, identify the number of farmers who use the said fertilizer and the corresponding acreage of affected land. Number 2, establish the long-term effects on the soil and future production as a result of the use of the fertilizer. And number 3, institute remedial steps to the farmers, including possible compensation, and what measures have been put in place by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, Kenya Bureau of Standards, and the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, KEFIS, to ensure that any fertilizer sold to farmers meets the set quality standards. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chair, Agriculture and Livestock. Wapi Mutunga? Who is the Vice Chair of that committee? Any member? Agriculture and Livestock? Majority Leader? Can you inform your chairman to bring a statement in the next 1 week in view of the importance of this matter?
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker.
Next, Honorable Timothy Toroitich, Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c. I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee, National Administration and Internal Security on the remuneration of the National Police Reservists. Honorable Speaker, Section 110(3) of the National Police Service Act 2011 provides that the National Police Reserve officers may be deployed within Kenya in aid in maintaining law and order, preserving peace, protecting life and property, preventing and detecting crime, apprehending offenders, and enforcing all relevant laws and regulations falling within the mandate of the National Police Service. The law further provides that the National Police Reserve and PR officers serve voluntarily and are not entitled to remuneration except for prescribed allowances. This is despite the fact that NPR officers are bound by the same requirements as regular police officers and are supervised by the National Police Service. The lopsided terms of engagement have led to low morale among NPR officers and risks exacerbating the security challenges in banditry-prone areas. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee, National Administration and Internal Security on the following issues. 1, could the Chairperson provide the details of the NPR currently receiving allowances as prescribed under Section 115(1) of the National Police Service Act 2011 and the criteria used to determine the allowances? Number 2, could the Chairperson enumerate measures that the government has put in place to ensure equitable compensation for NPR officers considering their role and responsibilities? 3rd, could the Chairperson elaborate on the process of vetting and training of NPR officers to ensure compliance with the constitutional and legal standards? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Timothy. Russell, that's your committee, 2 weeks? Yes, let's finish with Russell first.
2 weeks. 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Chepkonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there was an attempt by the Honorable Kakusha to imitate you, but when you threw him out, I'm very surprised that he had the clothes outside here, his suit, which appears to be better than mine, Mr. Speaker. And we must congratulate him for being of good behavior. He doesn't need to pretend that he's still a continuing Speaker of Nyeri. You know, that session came to an end, Mr. Speaker. And we want to thank him very much. It looks very smart now. It looks better.
Nobody will be congratulated for doing what is right. Mr. Kagusha, Honorable Kagusha was just trying to test the will of the Speaker. And those who think like him should know that when they do that, They'll have no space here. Yes, Irene Mayaka.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I just want to raise a point of concern that I raised a statement here to the Committee of Social Protection on the current status of anti-FGM declaration on the 12th of March. And to date, I have not received any response. So I'm a bit concerned that the committee has taken longer than they had actually said they would.
Chairman, Committee on Social Protection, is that Alice or Karemba? Where is Honorable Alice or the Vice Chair? Majority Leader, instruct the Honorable Chair that they should bring the report or the answer to the statement by Tuesday afternoon.
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next, Honorable Raila Kasiwai, Member West Pokot County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding the critical shortage of maize seeds in the North Rift region. Honorable Speaker, maize is the main staple food in the country, accounting for a significant portion of the country's gross domestic product. The maize subsector not only fuels economic growth through foreign exchange earnings, but also serves as a vital source of income, employment, and subsistence for the countless families in our country. Unfortunately, in the North Rift, a pivotal grain-producing region is currently experiencing a severe scarcity of maize seeds. Despite the favorable weather conditions, thousands of farmers do not have any maize seeds to plant for the season. This shortage, coupled with the pre-existing challenges in fertilizer availability, threatens to force farmers into utilizing subpar and uncertified seeds, jeopardizing both production levels and food security across the nation, and the livelihood of farmers in the North Rift and the North Rift region. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on the following. 1. Can a report be provided on the current maize shortage situation in the country? 2. What measures have been put in place by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock and the Kenya Seed Company to deal with the maize seed shortage crisis and ensure timely and equitable access to quality seeds for farmers? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Agriculture. Majority Leader.
Surprised why the chairman is a very diligent member. He's always in the chamber. Yes. There must be something that holds him, but I will definitely inform him about the timelines. Thank you.
Advise him to bring a response to that statement on Wednesday next week.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next order. Yes. Hold on, get the mic first. There you are.
I was supposed to give a statement on point of order, on order 7. I'm surprised you have skipped me.
You are not on my list.
I was advised by the table office.
By?
The table office.
The table office advised you, but the Speaker doesn't have that advice.
So, interesting.
What was the statement about?
It was about the national housing affair.
The one that I approved for you some time back.
Exactly. And you have even approved this one as well.
I'm sorry, it is not on our order. Can you furnish a copy with the clerk at the table?
To give me this one before I enter the chamber.
Just take your seat. I check for him. What is the cause of that confusion? Omar Mwinyi, you are ready to request for the statement? Give it to him. Go ahead and do so. They will rectify their records.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on a point of order pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 83 as a follow-up of a request for statement raised under Standing Order 44-2C. Honorable Speaker, you may recall that on 25th October 2023, I requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works regarding the management of houses and treatment of tenants at Changamwe National Housing Corporation Estate, which is in my constituency. In the statement, I expressed concern that the National Housing Corporation was mishandling the tenants and residents of the National Housing Corporation estates and had failed to provide essential amenities, including a sewerage system. Honorable Speaker, on 6 December 2023, the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works submitted a statement from the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development in response to my request. However, the response from the ministry was wanting because it did not address the concern I had raised. Consequently, Honorable Speaker, you directed the committee to engage with the Cabinet Secretary to ensure that my concerns were adequately addressed and to report back to the House. You further directed the committee to invite me during the engagement with the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Regrettably, Honorable Speaker, the committee took no action on the matter despite the express directions you issued from the chair on 6 December 2023. Owing to the failure by the committee to take action, the National Housing Corporation has since proceeded with eviction of tenants and demolition of the Changamwe National Housing Estate without engaging the affected residents, thereby confirming the fears of the residents. Honorable Speaker, my understanding is that directives you issue from time to time are meant for the orderly conduct of the proceedings of the House and for ensuring that the House executes its constitutional functions as required. I am therefore of the view that the conduct of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works in failing to carry out the further inquiry and reporting to the House as you directed amounts to relegation of duty. It is also my view that the committee ought to have taken this responsibility and your directive seriously and ensured timely consideration of the matter. Honorable Speaker, since the matter continues to affect members of the public in Changamwe, I stand to seek your guidance and request you to direct the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works to immediately conduct an inquiry into the eviction and demolitions in Changamwe and report back to the House within 21 days from today. This will facilitate the House to execute its role of deliberating and resolving issues of concern to the people of as provided for under Article 95 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, may I further request that, should the committee fail to adhere to this timeline, you allow me to request this Honorable House to establish an ad hoc committee to inquire into the matter. I submit, Honorable Speaker, and seek your guidance. Thank you.
Where is the chairman housing? Is that Johanna Ngeno? Owen, where is your chairman?
Who is the vice chair?
Honorable Speaker, I may not be able to vouch for
Can you bring to his attention the concerns of the honorable member and ask him to prepare a response?
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker. I would like to get that statement so I can send it to him. Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will much obliged.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, the Culture Bill, National Assembly.
Hold, still have the Majority Leader Thursday statement.
Yes.
Owen.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we did a statement by the Majority Leader or Leader of Majority Party on the business of next week. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2a, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Thursday, 16th April 2024, to prioritize the business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the business scheduled for Tuesday next week, the House will continue debate on the second reading of the following bills, should they not be concluded today. 1, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate number 9 of 2022, which we have tabled today, and we expect that robust debate takes place today. Then the Statute Law Amendment Bill 2023. We also have the Land Laws Amendment Bill number 2, Bill 2023, and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill 2024. It's good to note, Honorable Speaker, that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill is part of the NATCO report, NATCO bills that need to be debated, and we need to hastily finish this so that we can establish the Independent Electoral Commission boundaries. Honorable Speaker, additionally, debates will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. Report on the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the African Union Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation. 2, reports of the Auditor General on the National Government Constituency Development Fund for the 9 constituencies in Bungoma County, which were tabled, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we also will look at the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of public petitions on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 2223 of the Constitution. We also have reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of specified state corporations and reports on the Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library on enhancing reports of parliamentary business on online platforms. Honorable Speaker, we also have reports of the Committee on Regional Integration on its inspection of the semi-autonomous institutions of the East African Community in Uganda, and we also have the report of the Committee on the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House. And lastly, we also have report on the Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in the country. Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provision of Standing Order 42A5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon of Wednesday, 24th April 2024, to respond to various questions as I enumerate them, Honorable Speaker. Question by private notice number 004-2024 by the member for Gilgil, the Honorable Martha Wangari MP, regarding the death of Yasmin Njoki in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Also listed is the question by private notice number 005-2024 by the member for Samburu North, the Honorable Eli Letilipa MP, regarding the status of the investigation into the death of On Paul Leshimpiro MCA for Angata Nanyeki Ward. Honorable Speaker, following, we also have question by private notice number 6 of 2024 by the member for Luanda, the Honorable CPA Dick Maungu MP. (3769-6704) and several other victims. We also have a question by private notice number 008-2024 by the member for Lugari, the Honorable Nabina Bwera, who I saw a few minutes ago, regarding status of investigations into the circumstances that led to the death of Mr. Bonventure Ounza Olembe of ID number 3806-32 and Mr. Callistus Apoka of ID number 41-444-793 on 20th February 2024. 5, question by private notice number
011-2024 by the member for Moyale, the Honorable Professor Jaldesa Guyo, MP, regarding status of investigations into the circumstances that led to the shooting of Mr. Kabale Galgalo Guyo on 8th April 24. Honorable Speaker, protect me for the Chief Whip, who has just come in and wants me to notice him, and he's distracting me. Protect me from. Honorable Speaker, question number 271 of 2023. This is a question that I said for some time, but the member for Laisamis, Honorable Joseph Lokuton, MP, regarding staffing of birth certificates and registration officers in Laisamis and Loyangalani sub-counties. Question number 002 of 2024 by the member for Matungu, the Honorable Peter Nabulindo, MP, regarding the surge in cases of livestock theft in the western region and particularly Matungu constituency. Question number 3 of 2024 by the member for Kinango, the Honorable Gonzi Rai, MP, regarding the deployment of the contingent of General Service Unit to Kazamoyo village in Kwale County. This is a question, Honorable Speaker, that has stayed for a long time, and we hope that the Honorable Speaker will tackle it as he comes on Wednesday. Question number 005 of 2024 by the member for Bahati, the Honorable Irene Joki, MP, regarding the replacement of the vehicle with registration plate number GKB 340J assigned to Deputy County Commissioner Nakuru North Sub-County. Question number 037 of 2024 by the member for Isiolo South, the Honorable Tubi Bidu, MP, regarding the issuance of identification cards to residents of northern, eastern, and bordering regions. Honorable Speaker, I think, Honorable Speaker, the President talked about this matter recently, but I think the Honorable member CS will respond to it again. Question number 045, 2024 by the member for Fafi, the Honorable Yakub Farah, MP, regarding actions taken by the government to enhance security in Fafi constituency. And Honorable Speaker, another question by the member for Emuhaya, the Honorable Omboko Milemba, MP, regarding the security of non-local teachers in Mandera County. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have a question by the member for Kilome, that is question number 050, 2024 by Hon Thaddeus Nzambia, MP, regarding the gazettement of the Nzai sub-location in Makueni constituency. Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee shall convene on Tuesday, 23rd April 2024 to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next order.
Order number 8, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 11(3)(a) of the Constitution to provide for the protection and promotion of culture and the cultural heritage of communities and for connected purposes.
Thank you. Honourable members, I'll, on the request of the Majority Leader, rearrange business in a minor manner, that order number 10 will precede order number 9, and order number 9 will follow thereafter. So call out the next order at number 10.
Order number 10, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2022, second reading.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Marianne, are you the one moving? Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022, be read a second time. And I would request that Honorable Adams Kipsanai second.
You have moved the bill? You haven't.
Sorry, it was here. Sorry.
It is not that simple. What is the bill about?
Thank you, Chair. The report contains proceedings of the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on its consideration of the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, number 2022.
Order, Vice Chair. You are not moving a report, you are moving a bill. So move the bill.
Yeah.
Start by saying, I beg to move. Read the title of the bill, be now read a second time. Then start telling us what the bill is all about. Your report may be helpful, but you are not moving the report.
So I start by reading the bill.
Owen, can you assist the Vice Chair?
Yeah.
Whoever you wanted to second you, if is more conversant with the bill, you can let them move the bill, then you can second.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill. It's a Senate Bill number 9 of 2022 to be moved to a second reading. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is about the uniform licensing of that should be done by county governments, because right now, as we speak, Mr. Speaker, county governments do their licensing haphazardly, and there is no uniform way in which these licenses can be passed, can be moved. There are instances, Mr. Speaker, where counties charge licenses or fees for goods that are moving across counties, and in each county, every county government decides to charge licenses for each of those goods, and at the end of the day, the cost of doing business in Kenya becomes very expensive, because the costs that have been employed on the goods that are moving across counties become very expensive. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that this particular bill is to achieve is to ensure that licenses that are charged upon counties are at rates and fair prices that every other licensee is able to afford. There is also need to maintain public confidence in the respective sectors under which the license is being issued, and that the imposition of the license fee is carried out in a manner that does not hamper the respective business or industry, and also to ensure that information on conditions for the issuance of license and licensing procedures is accordance with the provision for Access to Information Act, which is already in place. And there is also need that there is cost effectiveness in the trade licensing procedures, same to ensure that at the time of issuing these licenses, that the license is simple and the license services are accessible to the people who are applying this license within their various counties. The bill also seeks to ensure the importance of declaring and upholding proper standards of conduct by licensees, and also to promote efficiency and effectiveness in the administration of license procedures, and the licensing procedures are undertaken in a fair and transparent manner, so that to ensure that every person who is applying for a license in whichever part of the country is taken through in a fair and transparent manner. So the bill seeks to also ensure that we protect consumers of goods and services, and we also ensure public safety and promote as the licenses or as licensees are being charged or are being taken through licenses. And finally, the bill also seeks to maintain public confidence in the respective sectors, so that any imposition of any fees that is carried out in the counties is carried out in a manner that So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move this bill to be read a second time, and I would request that the Member of Parliament for Keio North, Honorable Adams Kipsanai, second the bill.
Who is seconding?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I proceed to second this bill, I wish to state the following, that first is to congratulate the originator of the bill, because this bill will really help Kenyans in doing business. Madam Speaker, the youth of this country will eventually find ease in doing their businesses, because many required licenses that the county governments are demanding will no longer be needed. Secondly, Madam Speaker, is that it will protect professionals. Those people who are doing pharmaceutical businesses, like the pharmacists, will no longer be needed to pay the money that goes to the board, and then secondly, to the county governments. And thirdly, Madam Speaker, is to protect the consumers. Currently, as a country, our people are suffering from consuming illicit drinks. This is because the licenses are being issued without thorough interrogation. But this bill recommends that we have a vetting board that includes the Ngao officials, whereby they can sit down and vet before approving the licensing of those businesses. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I second. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022, be read a second time. Honorable Owen Baye.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill for which I beg to support. Honorable Speaker, the County Licensing Uniforms Bill is a Senate bill, number 9 of 2022, which is co-sponsored by Senator Omar Mariam Sheikh. Now, Honorable Speaker, the County Licensing Uniforms Procedure Bill was considered and passed by the Senate with amendments on 21st February 2024. And subsequently, Honorable Speaker, this bill was submitted to the National Assembly, and it was first tabled for the first time for the first reading on the 28th of February 2024, and subsequently was committed to the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, pursuant to Standing Order 143-2. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a very important bill whose objective, the principal object of this bill, is to provide for a national legislative framework for uniform procedures for the licensing of various activities by county governments. Honorable Speaker, you realize that every county government in this country has its own way of licensing. And therefore, there are very many variations, and these variations has made it very difficult to do business in Kenya. And therefore, the need for a uniform procedure for licensing. Honorable Speaker, in addition, the bill will ensure certainty in the licensing processes in all counties and encourage private sector players to do business in the counties. Honorable Speaker, this will unhook the issues that we have when it comes to licensing in the counties. When you have investors that are coming in, Honorable Speaker, you go to one county, you find different procedures. You go to another county, you find different procedures. Honorable Speaker, the only way we can ensure that there's uniformity and therefore ease of doing business in the country is through this bill. Honorable Speaker, the objectives of this bill, as enumerated in that order, Honorable Speaker, is the need to protect consumers of goods and services, ensure public safety, and promote environmental protection. Again, Honorable Speaker, there's the need to maintain public confidence in the respective sectors under which the license is issued and the imposition of licensing fees is carried out in a manner that does not hamper the respective business. Honorable Speaker, good environment for doing business is very important in the counties. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the county government of Mombasa, the county government of Kilifi, our neighbors are the county government of Kwale. But Honorable Speaker, if you want to transport sand from Kilifi, you bring it until Shanzu. When you get there, the county government of Mombasa has another different procedure. The same business person is now exposed to a different procedure. He has again to start a new procedure. Before he finishes that and wants to take the material to Kwale, he gets across the ferry, Honorable Speaker, and he's stopped by the county government of Kwale. He is again subjected to a different procedure. At the end of the day, this investor, this business person who wants to do business with these 3 counties has issues and therefore loses a lot of money on the way. But when we have a uniform procedure on how to do things, it will make it very easy for a business person who wants to do business at the coast because the procedures are uniform. I hope the Honorable Omar Mwinyi has understood the import of this bill to ensure that even him as a businessman, for whom I know he's a very astute businessman in land matters, does not have issues in transacting land matters in the county government of Kilifi, in the county government of Mombasa, or Kwale, so that his land continues to be safe in the hands of the county governments. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me to continue, Honorable Speaker, they need to ensure that licensing procedures are simple and that licensing services are accessible to a person applying for a license. Accessibility, Honorable Speaker, is key plank in terms of doing business. Sometimes we have had a situation where a trader wants to trade with Kilifi, wants to trade with Kwale, with Tana River, with Makueni, but the office in Kilifi is open on Friday. The other one, they do licensing on a Saturday. The other one, Honorable Speaker, it becomes very difficult to ensure that there's accessibility. So this bill, Honorable Speaker, what it will do is to ensure that the licensing procedures are simple, they're accessible, and they are easy to get for any business person who wants to do business. Honorable Speaker, the importance of declaring and upholding proper standards of conduct by licensees is very important. Sometimes the uncouth business behaviors of licensees, they are rude, they are uncontrollable, they want to do anything by themselves, makes it very difficult for business people. But Honorable Speaker, this bill, when we pass it, will ensure that licensees are people who have a standard operating procedure which they can use to ensure that they do business very well. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill and which will promote efficiency and effectiveness in the administration of licensing processes in the counties, and the licensing processes are undertaken in fair and transparent way. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill. Coming from the Senate, it is going to help to run counties for them to be able to generate enough revenue, counties to ensure that there's ease of doing business in the counties. And Honorable Speaker, we have an opportunity as the 13th Parliament to ensure that we streamline businesses in the county, in the counties. Honorable Speaker, on-source revenue has been a key problem for counties. On-source revenue, they give huge budgets and expectations and estimates for on-source revenue, but they are unable to collect this on-source revenue because of the hindrances that are there within the licensing regime. Honorable Speaker, this bill will ensure that our counties now collect enough local revenue, that they do not have to depend entirely on the national government for their revenue, but they can now have a uniform procedure, transparent procedure, easy, efficient procedure for licensing, and this bill will help counties to generate more local revenue for themselves. With all those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support this bill, and I would also ask the Honorable Omar Mwinyi, the great man from Mombasa, the leader from Changamwe, who has been tested and tried and proven to be quality leader, to support this bill on behalf of the people of Mombasa. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kitui, Honorable Rachel Mamai.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'll just make a few comments on this bill. Madam Speaker, before I do support, I would like to encourage more support to chairs of committees so that they do not struggle when they are moving, Honorable Speaker. I state that as a third-term member, and I think it is extremely important to support the chair. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill that has been moved by the Honorable Ketani, and I listened to her as she moved, and also I listened to the seconder, that the purpose is to ensure that counties do not have different systems of licensing, and that we provide as much support as possible to the investors. Honorable Speaker, when investors are coming to Kenya, they get attracted to a country called Kenya. And as they do their feasibility studies, they realize that Kenya also has counties. And at times, they find themselves operating in more than one county. This bill, Madam Speaker, that as it has been moved, it is encouraging counties to have a very simple system of licensing, possibly a licensing that is similar, where they do not struggle. And I think it is very important that it is passed, that our investors will be able to invest in different counties without struggling on ensuring that they follow different systems from one county to the other county. Honorable Speaker, I would like to focus on payments, and especially on levies on the roads, especially when investors are transporting goods, for example, from Nairobi to Kitui. And I would like to give that example, Madam Speaker, that an investor will find themselves paying levies for Nairobi County. On the way, if they use Mombasa Road, they'll pay for Makueni County, and then as they cross going to my constituency, they will be paying levies for Kitui County, and those are 3 levies, Madam Speaker. So this is a matter that needs to be looked at because it increases the cost of doing business, and all this cost is now levied on the customers. Also, Madam Speaker, if we have an easier way of making it easier to do business, we are going to have more investors. We are going to ensure that our counties grow. Counties will be able to collect more funds, and we'll have more development. Madam Speaker, it is through these companies that are constructing in our villages that we are getting more and more young people getting employed in these companies. So this is a bill that must be encouraged, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I support.
The Honourable Member for Likoni, Honourable Mishimbuko.
Maybe I use you. Asante Mheshimiwa Bispika. Mheshimiwa Bispika, hata mimi pia nasimama kuunga mkono mswada huu ambao unaweza kuzungumzia mambo ya leseni na kwamba taratibu za leseni ziwe na usawa katika jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Na jambo hili ni muhimu sana, Madam Speaker, kwa sababu itaweza kuwalinda wale watumiaji wa bidhaa na huduma. Kwa wale ambao hawajaelewa, the consumers, wawe wanaweza kuelewa taratibu zinazofuatwa za kuweza kupata leseni. Kwa sababu tumeona kuna taratibu tofauti katika kila kaunti. Na wakati tukiwa na taratibu tofauti, mara nyingi sana tunawaumiza hao watumiaji na pia tunawaumiza wale wawekezaji ambao wanakuja hapa kwetu katika kaunti zetu ili kuweza kuboresha uchumi. Madam Speaker, pia nataka niseme ya kwamba mswada huu umezungumzia wakati kaunti inataka kubadilisha yale malipo ya leseni, lazima waweze kufanya mkutano na wale washikadau, ile tunaita Kiingereza public participation, waweze kuzungumzia swala lile la kwamba wameweza kubadilisha yale malipo. Hivi sasa unapata ya kwamba katika kaunti nyingi wanaamka tu na wanasema ya kwamba pengine kama parking leo imepandishwa juu, mtalipa pesa hizi, ama ile pesa ya SEZ imepandishwa, mtalipa pesa hizi, pasi na kuwahusisha wale washikadau. Vile pia mswada huu umezungumzia ya kwamba hata yale malipo yatakayowekwa hayatawekwa malipo ya kuumiza yule mtumiaji ama yule mwekezaji, yatawekwa malipo ambayo yatamwezesha yule ambaye ni mwekezaji ama yule mtumiaji wa bidhaa na kuweza kuwa katika hali ambayo haitaweza kumuumiza sana. Vile pia imeonyesha ya kwamba iwapo mtu anataka kupata zaidi ya leseni moja, zile taratibu ambazo zitafuatwa, ndio asiwe na ugumu wa kuweza kuweka yale maombi ya leseni pengine ya kwanza ya biashara fulani, na tena kupata leseni ya pili na ya tatu ya biashara zile nyingine. Kwa hivyo kutaweza kuwa na taratibu ambazo zimewekwa za usawa pasi na kuweza kuumiza wale watumiaji. Vile vile pia imeweza kuzungumzia ya kwamba lazima zile huduma na zile bidhaa ambazo zinapaswa ziwe ni bora. Si ati kutakuwa na huduma tu ambayo si huduma bora, ama kutakuwa tu na bidhaa ambazo si bidhaa bora. Lazima ziwe ni bidhaa bora na huduma bora. Vile vile pia imezungumzia ya kwamba kutakuwa na ile ambayo tunaita, kwa Kiswahili tunaita kanuni ama tunaita alama ya siri. Ile Kiingereza tunaita codes. Kutakuwa na code tofauti katika kila leseni ile ambayo mtu atakuwa ameweza kuomba. Kwa sababu tukiwa na moja tu, hapo huwa tunakuwa na mchanganyiko na tunaleta shida kwa wale watumiaji ama wale wawekezaji. Na vile vile pia tutakuwa na hizo alama za siri ama kanuni tofauti katika kila kaunti. Haiwezi kuwa kaunti ya Kilifi na kaunti tuseme ya Nakuru itakuwa na hiyo alama ya siri moja. Tukifanya hivyo tunaleta tofauti ama sintofahamu kwa wale watumiaji wakati wameweza kuweka maombi ya kupata leseni zile. Kwa hivyo naweza kusema mswada ni mswada ambao umeweza kurahisisha ama kuweka yale mambo ya kwamba atakuwa na uwazi, na pia kuweka mambo ya uwajibikaji katika mambo ya kuweza kupata leseni, utumiaji, na kuweza pia yale malipo ya leseni yatakavyolipwa pia yatakuwa ni kwa njia gani. Kwa sababu hivi sasa tumekuwa na shida sana, wananchi wengi wanalia, unapata tu mambo yanaongezwa kila uchao. Na tukiangalia hali yetu ya kiuchumi vile ilivyo, japokuwa sasa hivi tunaona mambo pengine huenda yakabadilika yakawa mazuri, lakini tunaona Wakenya wengi bado wanapata shida sana kwa sababu hakuna sheria mwafaka kama hizi. Na tukiwa na sheria ya kitaifa ambayo itakuwa imesimamia hizi kaunti zote, basi hakuna gavana ambaye ama hakuna kaunti ambayo itaenda kinyume, kwa sababu sheria ni msumeno na inakata mbele inakata nyuma na lazima ifuatwe. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Madam Speaker, mimi nataka niseme ya kwamba mbali na yale mambo mengi ambayo yatafanya, pia katika mambo yetu ya mazingira, ile tunasema Kiingereza environmental protection, itaweza kuchunga mazingira vile ilivyo katika hali ya kufanya biashara hii ya kuwa tunataka leseni na kuendelea na zile kazi ambazo tunazifanya. Vile vile pia imezungumzia ya kwamba lazima zile taratibu ama zile njia ambazo zitawekwa ziwe ni nyepesi, na iwe pia mwananchi anaweza kupata maelezo. Tunasema access to information. Awe anaweza kupata maelezo pasi na kuwa na vizuizi ama pasi na kuwa, kwa sababu katika jambo hili Mheshimiwa Madam Speaker, kuna mambo mengi sana ya ufisadi. Unapata mtu anaambiwa labda ukitaka leseni hii lazima kwanza uchote ndio niweze kukuambia, ama ukitaka fomu lazima uchote ndio nikuletee fomu, na mambo kama yale ambayo ni ya ufisadi. Kwa hivyo tunataka hii mswada inazungumzia kwamba kuwe na wepesi wa kupata maelezo na kuwa na wepesi wa kupata zile taratibu ambazo zinahusika katika mambo haya ya kuweza kupata leseni. Niweze kusema ya kwamba nimefurahishwa sana na jambo hili kwa sababu litahusisha washikadau wale wahusika. Kwa hivyo hakutakuwa na pali ambapo mshikadau ataweza kulalamika na aseme hakujua, hakuhusishwa, na mambo yanaenda kwa njia ambayo haikuwa imepangwa jambo kama hilo. Madam Speaker, nataka nikushukuru sana, na kwa sababu naenda kwa mkutano mwingine muhimu, lakini niwaambie wabunge wenzangu, kesho rais atakuwa katika maeneo ya Bunge Towers kutufungulia jumba lile kirasmi. Kwa hivyo nyote mnaalikwa. Poleni, haikuwa mada hiyo, lakini nawaalika. Asante Mheshimiwa Madam Speaker.
Asante member for Wundanyi, Honorable Danson Mwashoko. Okay, the member for Matuga, Honorable Kasim Tandaza.
Kudzecha. Asante sana Madam Speaker kwa kunipatia fursa kuchangia mjadala muhimu sana katika nchi yetu hii ya Kenya, hasa baada ya ugatuzi ya katiba tuliyoweza kuikubali mwaka 2010. Katiba tuliyoipitisha licha na kuwa ilileta mambo mazuri mengi, pia ilileta changamoto, kwa sababu ilisisitiza sana kwamba kaunti zetu ziweze kutengeneza fedha zao za ndani kwa ndani, licha na ule mgao ambao ulikuwa unatoka serikali kuu. Hii basi ilifanyisha kaunti nyingi kufikiria ni njia gani ambazo inaweza kuokota pesa kutoka kwa wananchi, na mojawapo ikawa ni hii jambo la kuweza kutoa leseni katika rasilimali ambazo zinatoka sehemu mbalimbali, kama ilivyopendekezwa katika huu mswada ambao naunga mkono. Ni jambo la kuhuzunisha kwamba biashara inakuwa ngumu. Wakati mwingine hata sio biashara tu, pengine ni usafiri, ni lori ambayo hata haijabeba kitu, lakini kupitia kaunti moja mpaka nyingine imekuwa ni kama kupitia nchi moja mpaka nyingine, kwamba lazima iwe na vibali vya kaunti ile kule ambako inaenda, licha ya kutozwa ushuru na ule mzigo ambao umebeba. Kwanza, hivi vibali ambavyo kaunti zao wanatoa kwa magari ya mizigo, sioni kwamba ni halali, kwa sababu tunajua kwamba katika hii nchi tuna Kenya moja na tuna wizara inayohusika ya kutoa vibali, ikiwa ni wizara ya uchukuzi, na kama ni insurance basi inakuwa ni insurance ya Kenya nzima. Lakini kaunti zingine zimeweza kutoa vibali, kadi, vibandiko katika magari ya kuonyesha hii gari inaruhusiwa kufanya biashara katika eneo la kaunti. Hili halina msingi, ni hali ya kuhangaisha wanabiashara, ni hali ya kufanya bidhaa ziwe ghali zaidi, na ile hali tunazungumzia ni vipi mwananchi wa kawaida anaweza kupata afueni katika hali ya kufanya biashara. Nchi hii ni moja, counties zililetwa kwa sababu ya kupeleka huduma chini mashinani, lakini saa hizi zimekuwa kupitia hizi sheria zao zinafanya mtu kutoka maeneo ya Kwale kuingia Mombasa, basi ni kama ambaye anavuka mpaka wa Lungalunga kutoka Kenya kwenda Tanzania. Kwa hivyo mswada huu ni wa muhimu na inahitaji uungwe mkono na kupitishwa haraka inavyowezekana, ili biashara ziweze kuendezwa bila matata yoyote ama pingamizi zozote. Jambo jingine, Madam Speaker, ambalo pia ni la kuhuzunisha, ni wakati pengine kiongozi ameweza hata kutafuta ufadhili. Wakati tumetafuta ufadhili kama sisi, mfano wetu tukiwa Kwale County, labda ufadhili utapitia bandari ya Mombasa, lakini Mombasa ni kaunti nyingine. Mtu amenuia kusaidia either ni mashule ya Kwale kupitia kama ni makompyuta ama ni vitu ambavyo vitatumika katika darasa, lakini linapofika mpakani kati ya kaunti ya Mombasa na Kwale pale Likoni, basi analazimika yule mfadhili kwamba lazima alipie tena ushuru, licha ya kuwa pengine ashalipia ushuru katika serikali kuu bandarini, lakini bado kaunti inahitaji ushuru tena ulipwe ili viweze kuingia, na ile hali sio vitu vya biashara, ni mtu ambaye amejitolea kutoa ufadhili ili kusaidia watu wetu. Lakini wakati ule ofisa ambaye yuko pale ambaye amewekwa kwenye kile kituo cha SES, basi yeye ana ushauri kwamba lazima gari yoyote inayopita, licha ya kwamba ni ya ufadhili sio ya biashara, lakini ataweza kuifungia pale mpaka iweze kulipiwa ndipo ipite. Ama labda kama utapatikana uzungumze labda na mstahiki gavana ama na mkubwa anayehusika, ndio aweze kuipatia ruhusa ya kwa wakati ule kwamba ipite, lakini sheria ni kwamba gari yoyote lazima ilipizwe. Haya ni masuala ambayo sisi kama bunge la kitaifa tukisimamia serikali kuu tuna jukumu ya kuona kwamba hali tata kama hizi haziwezi kuendelea. Wakati pengine ikiwa watatoza ushuru, basi ikiwa mtu atakuwa ametoka Kilifi na anakuja Kwale kwa mfano, akishalipia ushuru Kilifi County, basi aweze kubeba risiti hiyo kuonyesha tayari ashalipia katika gatuzi moja na anastahili kubeba huo mzigo mahali popote pale Kenya, kwa sababu nchi ni moja. Licha ya vile kama tulivyotanguliziwa kwamba kila county ni lazima ulipe na unalipishwa kiwango fulani tofauti tofauti. Pengine kule ulilipishwa 200, ukifika Mombasa unalipishwa 800, ukivuka Kwale unalipishwa labda 1000 na mia ngapi. Sasa inakuwa hakuna mfano mzuri hata mwanabiashara kujua hatimaye akifika ataweza kuuza namna gani na kupata faida yake. Kwa hivyo, Bi Speaker, mswada na uunga mkono na uweze kupitishwa mara moja, na magavana wetu licha ya kuwa wana majukumu ya kutafuta hela, lakini wasitafute hela hali wanaumiza wananchi, hali wanaumiza yule ambaye angeweza kumtafutia hela, anamfanyia maisha yake yanakuwa magumu mpaka anashindwa kufanya biashara. Asante Madam Speaker, naunga mkono mswada.
Member for Kwanza, Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi.
I'm from a meeting from 9 o'clock.
Order. Madam Speaker, asante sana. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill by the Senate. Madam Speaker, I think it's just common sense. When it comes to, for example, to finding out, may I be protected from, Madam Speaker, can I be protected from the crowds in front of me? Eh? Order. Get out of my way. Madam Speaker, I'm being engaged and I'm on the floor of the House by the passerbys. So can you call him?
What's your point of
be out of order?
Let me allow Honorable Nyamai as a point of order.
Madam Speaker, is it in order for the Honorable Ferdinand, member for Kwanza, to purport to be giving instructions to other members when you are seated on your seat, Madam Speaker? Is it in order for the member for Kwanza, who has been in this House, I think this is his 4th term, to be the one to control the House by saying order, order, Madam Speaker, when you are seated on your seat?
Member for Kwanza, you are appropriately advised. Don't usurp my powers. You may proceed.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for protecting me. Yeah. First and foremost, Madam Speaker, it's important that we make...
Lagat, what's your point of order?
The point of order, Honorable Speaker, is it in order for Honorable Ferdinand, all the way from Kwanza, to refer to members as passerbys here? He has said passerbys here. I don't know what it means by that. He should apologize and withdraw that statement.
You may proceed. I didn't hear that part, so you're saved.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, again for protecting me from these hazardous friends of mine. But first of all, Madam Speaker, I want to make it very clear that the vetting of the applicants of license from one county to the other, we want it to be uniform, so that if, for example, one is doing some business in one county, it becomes very easy to move to another county, so that at least he follows the same procedure. Or if he recommends that somebody is going to do business in another county, it must be very, very simple, Madam Speaker, and it be uniform, so that we do not have a case where you find that one county has a different procedure of issuing license from the other. Secondly, and I think it must be uniform, so that it must be much easier, so particularly for the foreigners who actually maybe come and do business in our country, to do business here, improving the economy of our country. again, to make it very easy. For example, if one has to do some business in Mombasa and comes to Nairobi or goes to Kitale, where I come from, it should be the same procedure so that they can be encouraged. And I can tell you that again makes it easier and makes it very attractive for the foreigners to come and do our business in our country, thereby, of course, improve the economy of this country. So I think this is very important, that the procedure will be uniform. If you do business here and you want to apply for a license, it should be the same way that you could do the same, say, in Mombasa, Nyeri, or even Western Kenya. The other thing is that that again protects the consumers. Of course, if you find that the consumer is in this county and is going to do another business, whatever, or he wants to buy things from one county to the and move it to the other county, we want to make it very, very uniform, so that the consumers can be protected. Even the businessmen or women who actually want to business from here, again, are protected. Other than you find that you go to one county and you find somebody is charging you maybe 500,000 or 200,000 shillings to do whatever business you want to do, or even 20,000 shillings, and when you go to another county, these are different one. So I think this particular bill will be able to assist, so that, of course, Kenya is one. It doesn't matter whether you are in Nyanza, Western, Rift Valley, or whatever, the procedure should be the same. So, Madam Speaker, I just want to say that we must protect the consumers and whoever wants to do that. Thirdly, and very, very important, this, as somebody has mentioned, and I want just to emphasize that, when the procedure is simple, of course, the counties will be able to collect more revenue. And that again, as we said, will be able to, as they collect more revenue, other than being difficult to do business, because if you do one thing here in the central province, you go to Western, you find the procedure is different. So that again discourages the people who are doing business, and therefore, again, that does not develop our country, and they need to develop our country for the future prosperity. And therefore, I want to say that after devolution, and we under one government, let's have everything as uniform in whatever way you look at it, whether it's consumer or just getting licenses or moving from one place to the other. I want to agree with the former contributor who said again, you'll find yourself, you're driving from one place to the other, from one county to the other, you don't even know the boundaries. And again, you are stopped, say you are now entering this particular county, and so you maybe pay some extra money on the road or something like that. Again, that becomes very protective, very unnecessary, cumbersome, and people actually will not be able to move the resources from one area to the other. So with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support this particular bill, and I hope this House will move it yesterday or today to be able to have it working so that can be able to support the Senate, and things will be much easier for this country, for the prosperity or for future of this country. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Timothy Toretich, member for Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important bill. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the bill, which is the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, number 22, which is a Senate bill. Honorable Speaker, I have read that the intention of this bill is to establish a uniform procedure for licensing by county governments and for connected purposes. Honorable Speaker, when devolution happened in this country, I think, in my opinion, the architecture of devolution was never well thought out, because you find that various county governments when county governments were given powers to make certain laws, to issue licenses, the disparity in terms of procedures, the disparity in terms of the fees charged has brought a lot of complexities in the business, in terms of business in this country, so that you find that one county charges a fee that is higher compared to another county. In as much as they have that power to determine the fees to be charged through their local finance acts, for me, it brings issue of inequality in this country in terms, because this is a tax. And when a tax is not uniform, then it becomes difficult to actually to obey that particular kind of law that provides a tax that is not equal. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the records of our courts, there are so many legal battles, there are so many cases in court that have arisen out of cross-border taxation matters, so that you find that the cross-border issue of revenue or collection of local revenue in cross-border, you find that another county is taxing higher than the other county. So, Honorable Speaker, I believe that this uniform legislation will be able to sort out this issue so that it provides a mechanism, a uniform mechanism of charging revenue and issuance of licenses in this country. Honorable Speaker, there are multiple inconsistencies in terms of the regime of taxing of levies in this country. So, Honorable Speaker, I believe that this kind of a uniform legislation will provide a uniformity in terms of procedures that are put in place so that we reduce the issue of inequality in this country. Honorable Speaker, this issue has affected private investors, because if private investors come from outside the country and want to invest, for example, in where I come from, the North Rift region, you find that various counties have different regimes of levying certain charges. Then it becomes very difficult in terms of consistencies, in terms of charging those fees. Honorable Speaker, this kind of legislation when passed, it will ease doing business in those particular counties. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this particular legislation insofar as it sets the minimum or the standard uniform procedure of processing or charging fees, and also sets a minimum procedure in terms of the legal requirements that is required in processing of licenses. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Dr. Gideon Ochanda, member for Bondo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to partly support the bill and partly not to support it. The bit that I want to support is the logic behind it, the practicality in terms of the difficulties we face from time to time in terms of issues of movement of goods, movement of services. I think to that extent there's some good logic in it. But on the other hand, where I may not be very nice, Madam Speaker, there's a problem of uniformity. Every single time, and I think we are over-legislating for counties, and I've said this before, the issue of uniformity, in my view, is unconstitutional. The Constitution and the spirit of the Constitution is that we are diverse. We need to do things in the best interest of the local situations where counties find themselves. So every single time we come up with legislations that set uniformity, that set standards for, or telling counties exactly what to do, in my view, I think is not very good for the country and even for the House. Uniformity, the Constitution requires that we are separate in as much as we are supposed to be interdependent. We are 48 governments and we offer all manner of services. And it's true, counties exist in some geography. There's county geographies. And they don't exist in isolation. They exist in relation to the others. There's a way how they have to relate with the others. But that kind of a legislation needs to be left for the county assemblies of each particular county government, so that they get to legislate how to relate with other counties, how to relate in terms of how movement of goods and services. So when we do that as Parliament, I think there's an element where we are not getting it right. And Madam Speaker, I think this needs to be checked. It is not the first bill that is talking about issues of uniformity. And again, it's also not the first bill that we are discussing that is trying to set certain things for county governments. County governments are supposed to be semi-independent. They're supposed to work on their own legislations, and they're supposed to work on their own procedures of how to do things. In the Constitution also, there's a requirement that, in terms of how they're supposed to be raising revenue, counties are supposed to be competing in terms of own local revenue raising arrangements. But if we set uniformity for them, that's going to curtail where some counties may want to raise a little bit more through internal revenue generation, and we curtail that, I think there's a problem. And I can, as a matter of caution, Madam Speaker, somebody may run to court to challenge this bill if we don't look at it very carefully in terms of the constitutionality and in terms of the principles of devolution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Lastly, the Honorable Karemba Muchangi. The Honorable Eric Muchangi, member for Runyenjes, aka Karemba.
Honorable Speaker, it is also right to call me Honorable Karemba. It is my name and it features in my national identity card. Honorable Speaker, I wish to start by first for supporting this bill. It is a very timely proposal that we have a uniform law that governs the way businesses are done across the counties. Honorable Speaker, one of the roles of government is to regulate and to facilitate the ease of doing business in the country. And Honorable Speaker, the government only in the public service is only able to employ around 1 million people. The rest of the employees in this country are employed by the private sector. That is where they have been absorbed. And Honorable Speaker, this law as proposed is supposed to facilitate the ease of doing business. And this is now where it matters the most. Honorable Speaker, for businesses that are young, those businesses that we call small businesses, it becomes very difficult to move around the country selling goods and supplying items. The reason is, if you have a business that is domiciled in Nairobi or that is registered in Nairobi and you want to move your items to counties like, let's say, Kiambu, Kirinyaga, and Chuka, or even Meru, Tharaka-Nithi and Meru, you are required to pay licenses in all those counties, distribution licenses. And you find that it is very, very difficult to get resources to pay for all those licenses and still make a margin or profit from these businesses. So you find that most of these businesses end up collapsing or dying as a result of multiple levies that are charged on these businesses. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a very timely proposal, and I believe that everybody should come in and support this bill so that we have a standard or a uniform way of charging levies across the country and across the counties so that we can give businesses an opportunity to thrive. Because again, this law, Honorable Speaker, will help our country to be competitive in terms of doing business. And that is where it matters. So, Honorable Speaker, I once again support this and say that it is timely, and let everyone support it because it's a good idea. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, now I'd like to call upon the mover to reply. Mover, you can donate a few minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The object of the bill actually is to facilitate the ease of doing business in this country. And currently, as it is, we find that many businesses and many businessmen and women are finding it very expensive and very difficult to do business, and therefore creating competitiveness in this country. I love the interest that this bill has had across the members from both sides of the House. And if we look at what the members have said, which is what the object of the bill will do, it will ensure that we have one licensing regime that is uniform, because Kenya is one and would like to make life easy and make life become easy for businesses and businessmen. The cost of transporting goods as it is today across counties is a very expensive affair, because as you cross each county, licenses or levies are put on your goods. This bill will ensure that the transportation of goods between counties or inter-counties will be harmonized, and therefore these goods and services that you move, that cost will be, at the end of the day, the consumer will get the goods at a very good price. There is the issue of alcohol and substance abuse that currently, because of the licensing regime, counties are issuing licenses haphazardly to any business, not caring perhaps whether this business is near a school or near a market. And this particular bill has come in handy to a point where we are able now to say we can do consumer protection, so that issues to do with things like alcohol can be licensed within a regime that is acceptable in the community. That is, for example, that these alcohol dens should not be near schools, or should not be near areas that should that can cause harm to the young children in this republic. The bill also creates a licensing authority, which is a body that will vet the licensing as opposed to individuals, to avoid issues of corruption. Some of the members have mentioned how currently getting licenses in various counties is mad with a lot of corruption, and the licensees or the traders have to part with a lot of money before that license is issued, and at the end of the day, even when they trade, they may not be able to recover the cost of doing business. So the licensing authority, as anticipated in this bill, will help in issues to avoid corruption. And where a license is rejected, again, there is a review. That bill was rejected to enable the users or the licensees be able to get justice and value for their money. The other issue that has come out is that the cost of licenses has become expensive to many licensees, and what the bill will seeks to do is to also ensure that any license fee that is imposed on the licensees, before that license is imposed, the license first goes to the county government, to the county assemblies. It is approved before it is implemented. But more importantly is that there is room for public participation, where the review of these licenses shall be given to the participants, or which is public, for them to say whether they agree or disagree, and why they disagree on any fee that is supposed to be levied or increased. And that, I think, will help the businesses, so that we avoid scenarios like it is today, where a county government may just decide to increase licenses for certain license categories unilaterally, and therefore making the cost of doing business very expensive, or making the cost of doing business in a county unattainable for the licensees. The license duration, of course, is another issue that has come up on the floor, and the bill will seek to clear an issue of the license duration being a calendar year, as opposed to being a year from the date of issue, as opposed to a calendar year, because some of the licensees perhaps would get a license in September, and by December that license is already expired. So the license duration will last for a year from the date when it is issued. This bill also seeks to ensure that there is electronic, the licenses are issued electronically, and the bill has given the county governments a period of within 3 years to ensure that their systems are in place, so that anybody applying for a license need not to physically go into an office, but can do it electronically, and that, of course, will avoid issues to do with corruption. We also see that the bill will also assist with entities or professional bodies that are licensed at national level, that they don't get double taxation. And secondly, and more importantly, is that there are professional bodies which right now the county governments don't consult before issuing them license. For example, the pharmaceutical businesses, you find quack pharmaceutical businesses being issued licenses. This bill ensures that county governments shall consult professional bodies before any license is issued or before any license is approved for issuance to those professional bodies. That will help us to ensure that the value of goods and the quality of goods and services that we get will be commensurate to what the common mwananchi requires. The bill is also requiring that the quality of goods and services produced are of high standard. The current scenario is where some of the goods that are provided or issued or sold to unsuspecting consumers are not of high standard, and the bill has sought to have the county governments liaise with government entities like KEBS to ensure that the goods that they are going to license will be of high quality and high standard, because the Kenyan consumer is me and you who will need to consume these particular products or goods or services. And again, this bill has ensured that there is protection of consumers and also standardization of the goods that are going to be sold within these various sub-counties. The bill also ensures that this licensing board will ensure that there is they will ensure that there is licensing, there is a uniform way of licensing, whether you want to grant, to renew, to transfer or replace a license. And it will be the requirement of these licensing authorities within the counties to give any comments or any rejections or any comments to the licensee in writing. This is to avoid issues to do with corruption, because as you've heard, many of the contributors today have raised issues to do with corruption. So if communication is done in writing, it will then avoid situations where licensees are told to come to the side and maybe if they do one or two or they bribe, they are able to get licenses. Because if there is any information required, again, the licensees will be given in writing. The other thing that this bill has is the timelines within which a license can be issued. I think the license period has been set to 28 days, and if there is any comments or any requests required by the licensing authority to get from the licensee, again, the time frame within which a licensee has been given has been given, and also the response from the licensee has also been given, so that this license or the licensing regime is free from corruption. I think, Madam Speaker, this bill is coming handy, and it is a very good bill. It is come at a timely manner, so that all county governments can conform to the uniformity. There is only one issue that was raised, that uniformity may be unconstitutional. I'd like to say that we have looked at the bill, and for us, there is nothing unconstitutional about this bill. With that, I beg to reply. And I wish to request that pursuant to provisions of Standing Order number 53.3 and putting the question to be deferred to another day.
Very much, Honourable Marianne, for ably replying to that bill. Honourable members, a question to be put is therefore deferred to another time, as will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Honourable members, as per the reorganization, we go back to order number 9. This is resumption of debate. At a balance of 3 minutes, the member who was on her feet is not in.
Order number 9, the National Land Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 43 of 2023, resumption of debate. Second reading.
Honourable members, it's open for debate. I'll give the first opportunity to the minority leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
for this opportunity to contribute to this motion. I suppose I've got 10 minutes or more. I'm not sure. Honorable Speaker, I'm just seeking your advice. I've got how many minutes? Anyway, let me proceed. I want to start from the outset by declaring that I totally support this amendment bill. The National Land Commission Amendment Bill, sponsored by the Honorable Owen Bayer, the Deputy Leader of Majority. Madam Speaker, and I am supporting this bill as a matter of principle. Matter of principle. Having looked at the section of the Act which is being amended, I can in fact say, without a fear of contradiction, that those sections, both section 14(1), both section 14 subsection 1 and section 15, okay, of the Act were, in my very considered view, unconstitutional ab initio. And why do I say so? Honorable Speaker, whenever Parliament is called upon, and I hope the Leader of Majority will listen to me. The Leader of Majority, I hope you will listen to me, because I'm raising very fundamental issues here that may be of interest to you going forward. So I am saying that, for the benefit of the Leader of Majority, that I am supporting this amendment bill, the National Land Commission Amendment Bill, sponsored by the Honorable Owen Bayer, as a matter of principle. And I've said that now, looking at the sections of the National Land Commission Act that the Honorable Bayer is proposing to amend, I can say without the fear of contradiction that, in my very considered view or opinion, those sections were unconstitutional ab initio. Yes. And why do I say so? Whenever Parliament is called upon to enact laws, to give effect to particular provisions of the Constitution, it cannot be that same law becomes a limitation, becomes a hindrance to the very Constitution or very provisions of the Constitution that it is seeking to effect. Because if you read Article 67 of the Constitution on the powers and functions of the National Land Commission, especially Article 67, sub-article E, Article 67, 2E, where the functions of the NLC are, among others, to initiate investigations on its own initiative or on a complaint into present or historical land injustices and recommend appropriate redress. These are powers that were given to the National Land Commission by the Constitution. The drafters of the Constitution and Kenyans generally gave these powers to the National Land Commission through this Constitution. And then you go to the National Land Commission Act and you find a very, very glaring attempt to, in fact, change the Constitution, if you ask me. Because if the drafters had intended that this function would only be performed within a specified period of time, then nothing stopped them from specifying so in the Constitution. The Act goes ahead at section 14, subsection 1, to suggest that the Commission shall, within 5 years of the commencement of this Act, on its own motion or upon a complaint and so on and so forth, undertake the function contemplated under Article 67(2)(e) of the Constitution. Whereas the Constitution has left it open. An ordinary Act of Parliament purports to enforce a limitation, a time limitation. What was the wisdom of the House when it enacted this legislation? What was in the mind of the House? Was the House of the view that this historical land injustices would have been dealt with conclusively within 5 years? That the Commission would have been able to deal with all historical land injustices within 5 years? Was that the thinking of the House of Parliament when it enacted this particular statute, law? Okay? My submission is that the House erred. The House made a great error in purporting to limit the time frame within which historical land injustices would be addressed by the National Land Commission. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the only remedy that is available, and we are lucky that the courts have not been moved to declare this particular section of the Act unconstitutional. And therefore, Honorable Baya has given us, and Kenyans generally, a golden opportunity to right the wrong that was occasioned through the enactment of this statute law. Because the only remedy really for this ambiguity, the only remedy for this illegality, the only remedy for this unconstitutionality is to adopt the amendment being proposed by the Honorable Owen Baya and allow the National Land Commission to undertake its mandate, to execute its mandate, to perform its functions as clearly contemplated under Article 67, sub-article 2 of the Constitution. Because otherwise, if we were to assume that for sure now, going by the provisions of this Act, no more historical land injustice cases would be dealt with, then how would we then want Kenyans to deal with them? If by this limitation under the Act, the NLC would no longer undertake its function under 67(2)(e), then who would then perform that function? Who? If the NLC is now barred from performing that function of 67(2)(e), by dint of the provisions of the NLC Act, then who would then be called upon to perform that function? That's the question we should be asking as a House. Are we saying, therefore, that we go back to who? Because under the current Constitution, no other authority has got that function. Under the current Constitution, no other authority or person can perform that function under 67(2)(e), other than the NLC. It's not the President, it's not the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, it's not anybody else. It's not anybody else. Do you want the Kenyans now to go back to the rule of the jungle and start now squaring their issues physically? That if I feel that injustice was occasioned on me, a land injustice was occasioned on me, and the body which is mandated by the Constitution to do it to address it is not able to address it, then what do? Do I square it out with the person who I feel has caused me the injustice? So it is only logical, really. It's only logical that the amendment being proposed by Honorable Owen Bayer be endorsed, be approved in totality by this House. And in fact, this process should be expedited. Because as we speak, I know there are cases which are pending before the NLC. Cases which perhaps have come from elsewhere, or cases which they have initiated on their own volition. I know my friend Honorable Karoli Mundi is itching to speak to this. I'll be pleading that we give him time to say something after this, so that I get to know what is it that he has in mind about this particular matter. But from where I sit, Madam Speaker, from where I sit, I don't think we have got any other route to cure this problem. So I want to plead with you, honorable colleague members, that let's expedite this bill. Let's just adopt it like yesterday and have it assented to, for us to go back to where we should have been from the very beginning. Allow the NLC to perform its functions. Otherwise, with those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I also rise to support this bill by the Deputy Leader of Majority, who is also the very good member for Kilifi North, and my very good friend. Honorable Speaker, this bill, as the Leader of Minority has said, is quite progressive. And indeed, I want to agree with the Leader of Minority that in the first instance, the particular provisions in the law, as it were indeed unconstitutional, because you cannot limit what is expressly provided for in the Constitution through statute. And that is what I think Parliament had done, and I believe on hindsight now, because myself and the Leader of Minority were in that House in the 11th Parliament, was erroneous. And he said it's only fools that don't change their minds. And since we are not fools, as a House, we ought to change our minds and align the statutes to the Constitution. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, you know, there are many land issues in this country, and not just historical land injustices. And I know there are those who are in fear that these particular provisions may give the National Lands Commission the power to look into private land matters and all that. But what is of greater importance to me, Honorable Speaker, is the disposition of public land. Honorable Speaker, it's good that you are sitting as a temporary speaker today, because you have been the chairperson of the Lands Committee in this House in the last Parliament. And you know the number of land parcels around the country that have been taken up by cartels, who are now taking advantage of the absence of these particular provisions in the law, that people can take up public land and subdivide it and corruptly process titles through the Ministry of Lands, and take up land that is otherwise public land. And there are many instances across the country, including in my own constituency, Honorable Speaker, where cartels have taken a chunk of over 100 acres of land that formerly belonged to the Kenya Forestry Service, subdivided it, and over the years have been trying to sell that particular piece of land to innocent third-party buyers. Honorable Speaker, you can imagine the tragedy that befalls people when you buy land that had title, that you went to the Ministry of Lands, searched that land, and found it to be a clean title, only to come to learn later that the particular people who sold the land to you initially ought not to have been legitimate owners of that land, Honorable Speaker. And it is only an independent commission that can fix some of these issues. The rot that has bedeviled the Lands Ministry over the years, Honorable Speaker, is not something that can be fixed by the ministry itself. They need a third eye, and that third eye is the National Lands Commission. And the drafters of our Constitution in 2010 had every reason not to trust the ministry alone, but to create another independent arm, an independent commission in the National Lands Commission,
to oversight and see what is being done on matters pertaining especially to public land. And Honorable Speaker, I want to restrict myself to the issue of public land because that is where the rubber meets the road on matters to do with the theft of land, Honorable Speaker. And by denying when this Section 14 and Section 15 of the National Lands Commission became redundant or lapsed within the 5 years after commencement of the Act, Honorable Speaker, the National Lands Commission has been left as an impotent body. They will see today Kimani Ichung'wah grabbing public land. They know it is public land. Because I am in a position of influence, I will get my way through the Ministry of Lands, process titles of public land, subdivide that public land, and dispose it off. And the National Lands Commission will do absolutely nothing. Honorable Speaker, it is that we want to correct, and I must commend the member for Kilifi for having this bill done. Honorable Speaker, I had a similar amendment bill last year, which I had also done as a private member's bill. And the Ministry of Lands prevailed upon me to drop that particular amendment, that they would incorporate it in a bigger lands amendment bill that they were processing. And I was shocked when the bigger lands amendment bill came, these particular provisions were not provided for. And that is why today I stand to support the Honorable Owen Baya, because he is replicating exactly what I had done in my amendment bill that the Ministry of Lands refused to, or rather prevailed upon me to drop, on the pretext that they were going to bring it together with the bigger bill, which is also before the House, Honorable Speaker, and without preempting debate, Honorable Speaker, I think is a order listed as order number 12 or 13, order number 13. But if you go through order number 13, you realize this Section 14 and Section 15 of the National Lands Commission Act were left out. And that is why I am obligated, because it was originally my bill, to support that, or the bill sponsored by my deputy, because it captures the spirit of what the country wants. The country desired to have a National Lands Commission that has teeth to bite, not a National Lands Commission that cannot act when the people of Kenya are being dispossessed of their land by cartels and thugs who will access power, thugs will access the Ministry of Lands and corruptly change public land into private hands, Honorable Speaker. We can only depend on the National Lands Commission to correct some of these ills. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to support, and I want to ask the National Lands Commission, if and when the House adopts this bill and gives them back the powers that they ought to have, they must move with speed to ensure that all public land, and even in some instances, Honorable Speaker, private land. Honorable Speaker, I have a case in mind, Honorable Speaker, and you have seen it in the news, of some land next to Windsor in Kiambu County, or on the border of Kiambu and Nairobi. A small group of people change ownership of a company of very old men who bought land many, many years ago, decades ago. They corruptly changed the ownership of the company, influenced people at the lands office, changed title, and transfer those titles to other people. And Honorable Speaker, let me say, because these are matters under investigation, I hear there is a senior police officer in Nairobi who purports to be having breakfast with the Deputy President and dinner with the President, and forces police officers to guard stolen land. Let me tell that officer, whether you dine with the President, whether you have breakfast with the Deputy President, whether you have lunch with the Leader of Majority, you shall have no opportunity to steal land from the people of Kenya on account of the office you hold, because you can commandeer officers with guns. This is the injustice, Honorable Speaker, that is being meted out on the people of Kenya over their land. because we do not have this provision in law where the National Lands Commission, those who feel treated unfairly, can run to and have titles revoked. Honorable Speaker, you'll be shocked that particular case around Windsor, none other than the Principal Secretary in charge of lands cancelled the particular titles and instigated the cancellation of those titles. But because there were policemen and senior police officers involved, they now use their powers in the police to guard goons taking charge of a private land. You saw, Honorable Speaker, the other day, none other than the Minister of Lands herself, CS Alice Wahome, being locked out of her property in Loresho. Goons. Why? Because they are policemen who think that they are a power unto themselves. Honorable Speaker, because that particular officer knows himself, let me tell him from the floor of this House, there shall not be an inch of land grabbed in Nairobi or Nairobi's environs on account of you claiming to dine and wine with who is who.
Sorry to interrupt.
Public land will remain public land. What is private land will remain as private land. I hope Honorable Pio doesn't have land that is grabbed.
Opio Wandai?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, you know for sure, Wandai and land grabbing can't be in one sentence, for sure. But having said that, what Honorable Leader of Majority is saying is very serious, extremely serious. Is it possible, Honorable Speaker, that you could perhaps persuade him or compel him to name this officer? Because I don't think this House can continue to operate in generalities. That officer needs to be named. And if it's not nameable, we need to know who is the force behind him. Because I don't think there can be an officer in the National Police Service who can have power or authority over and above that of the Leader of Majority.
What is out of order?
So
What
can
is
you
out of
compel
order,
him to name
Minority
that
Leader?
police officer who is guarding stolen property around Windsor Hotel? Thank you.
Majority Leader?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Maybe just to quickly respond to the Leader of Minority. There are people who have more powers than me because I cannot command a police officer. But there are officers who have powers to command those officers serving below them. And that is what I'm speaking. And Honorable Speaker, if the Leader of Minority was keen to listen to what I said it is a matter under investigation, and I therefore do not want to jeopardize the investigations by naming people.
Majority Leader, I would like also to add that you did not state any name.
Yes, I did not state anybody's name.
Not state any name, so nothing
I said a senior police officer. And I will repeat, it is a senior police officer who has the capacity and ability to command other officers. That tells you it is from the rank of a sergeant, an officer commanding a police station, an OCPD, a county commander, a regional commander, a deputy IG, or an IG himself, but I did not name anybody, and I am not at liberty at this stage not to jeopardize investigations. But once the investigations are completed, I know the owners of that land are preparing a petition to this House. We shall name names, because this administration under William Ruto is not to condone the theft of public land by whoever you think you are, whether you are a police officer, whether you are a chief. Only yesterday, Honorable Speaker, I had to intervene in my constituency where an assistant chief had grabbed land belonging to 130 squatters and subdivided it among us 7 members, Honorable Speaker. And I must thank the area DCC for also quickly intervening to ensure that the people of Ruanyaga get back their rightful share. Honorable Speaker, I was saying once we restore these powers under Section 14 and 15 of the NLC Act back to NLC, NLC will also use this to safeguard a lot of public land in many counties, Honorable Speaker. And I'll give you the case example of Kiambaa constituency in Kiambu. You will not find a single piece, even half an acre of public land to do the affordable housing agenda. This is the opportunity that the government of Kenya has to actualize the affordable housing agenda by ensuring that we have public land that was grabbed being restored back to the public. Honorable Speaker, you have seen many people across the country crying foul when the national government moved to repossess land. The Ministry of Housing need not to be fighting with anybody. They will just be giving the issues of land that was grabbed, that was public land, to NLC. NLC will now have powers to revoke those titles and evict those who are occupying public land, and then we can develop the affordable housing projects on public land, Honorable Speaker. And that is the case in many of our urban centers, Honorable Speaker, not just in Nairobi, but in other areas. Honorable Speaker, before the leader of minority rose on a point of order, I was saying you saw in Loresho the other day, the minister for the CS for lands being stopped by a group of goons from accessing land where she was going to help somebody whose land also as a private citizen was being grabbed. Honorable Speaker, it is not by accident that all these things touch on the police and are happening in Nairobi. It is not by accident, Honorable Speaker. And that is why I have taken liberty to speak to it, Honorable Speaker, because I hear many other people are being threatened in Nairobi that you cannot talk about it. We shall talk about it here. And I have said that particular officer who is abusing his powers in Nairobi to grab land, your day is coming. Because they say in Kiswahili, Honorable Speaker, siku za mwizi ni 40. And that day is coming, the 40th day is coming. We as an institution must play our part, and as leaders we must all play a part in ensuring that we empower our institutions. And there is no better institution to empower other than an independent constitutional commission that was created by our Constitution of 2010. And I want to agree with those who have argued, and I subscribe to that idea that the particular provisions, giving them a time frame of 5 years, was indeed unconstitutional. And on hindsight, it is only up to this House to correct that, Honorable Speaker. And I therefore support this bill and congratulate the member for Kilifi North, who is also the deputy leader of majority, for bringing this bill to the House and giving life to Section 14 and Section 15 of the NLC Act once more. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. The Honorable Karoli Omondi, member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on this particular proposed amendment bill. Let me begin by acknowledging the great mischief that was perpetrated by whoever drafted Section 14 that we seek to now amend. If you read it in totality, at first you get the impression, when they say within 5 years, that there were noble intentions, which was to expedite the filing and the determination of any reviews regarding grants and disposition of public land. But when you go down, you realize it requires that such review and determination be completed for all grants and disposition, all, the word all, which basically means anything that was done probably from 1963 to 2010, which comes to 2015. So when you have a law that creates an impossible task to perform, you can clearly see the mischief. And I would like to support the proposal by Honorable Owen Bayer that we delete within 5 years in that particular section. But we should equally delete all and insert any, so that it becomes a continuous process. That, because you see, what I wanted to point out to minority leader at that time was that Section 14 deals with alienation of public land, but historical justices are under Section 15. So when you read it, you can clearly see there was very serious mischief that was created. So at the appropriate time, I'll be moving an amendment so that we delete the word all grants and dispositions and put any. Secondly, let me point out that because if we don't do that, what this particular limitation of 5 years meant was after 5 years, after 2015, you could not review any grant or disposition. They were shielding whoever will be dealing with alienation or disposition of public land after that 5-year period. Secondly, if you go to section 5, where they say the commission finds that the title was acquired in unlawful manner, the commission shall direct the registrar to revoke the title. That is a correct procedure, because unlawful allocation is where public land that was not available for alienation has been given out, and that has been very common. But what is unlawful is not defined. Yeah, and again, I think we will need to create some definition for that. Because when you go down to subsection 6, irregularly acquired is defined, but certain elements are missing, which are critical to what this particular act needs to address. Irregularly acquired is where the land is available for allocation, but the correct procedure was never followed. And again, in that case, the drafters were very clever. They are saying where there is irregular allocation, they will not recommend revocation, but they will recommend rectification. You'll be given a chance to remedy the wrong. What they are not saying is that where the irregularity was tainted with fraud, where it was deliberately fraudulent, yes, you will become a beneficiary of your fraud. So again, we need to look at the definition, because irregular allocation is defined in the Act. We need to look at that and distinguish it where there's honest mistake or honest irregularity from where there's deliberate fraud. In which case, if that is established, then revocation should follow, because you cannot benefit from illegal activity. If you go down to subsection 7, no revocation of the title shall be effected against a bona fide purchaser for value without notice of defect in the title. The lawyers in the House will tell you that there's a principle in law known in Latin as nemo dat quod non habet. You cannot give that which does not belong to you. You cannot pass a better title than the one you have. So if it is established your title was fraudulent, then the third party purchaser equally cannot get a better title. But there are exceptions, and this is one of them. And it is a good exception, where an innocent purchaser has bought a property without having defect in the title. But what they don't tell you, again, is that the original beneficiary, the person who committed the fraud, yeah, if not compelled to undertake restitution, then he becomes a beneficiary of his own fraud. In other words, there will be cases of unjust enrichment and where people will benefit from illegal activities. So again, we will be proposing an amendment that in case of irregular allocation or unlawful allocation, the person who committed the fraud will be required to make restitution either to the state or to the person who paid them. Because where there's a revocation, they should make restitution to the person who paid them. Where there is just restitution, they should be required to pay the value of the property or whatever they received, whichever is higher. And I would like to, again, just to go further to now historical injustices. That is section 17, subsection 3D, the one that my minority leader was very passionate about. Again, they imposed a 5-year limit here for historical injustices. And to handle a matter of historical injustice, I mean, if you want to look for historical documents and to show you are displaced, your community lived there, it takes time. Some of these documents are not even within the Republic of Kenya. They're in the archives in England. So it was again a mischief. I think I support the deletion of this particular clause so that issues of historical injustice, issues of review of grants or dispositions of public land are continuous and permanent power vested in the National Land Commission. But I want to point out, as we undertake all these things, we need to be very careful, because there's very serious potential to disrupt the good commercial order of society when you deal with issues of land. You can see the case of Zimbabwe, where a food basket has become a basket case by, again, issues of land. And there are also very serious complications. When you're dealing with historical issues in Africa, you need to remember, like in the case of Kenya, the first formal registration of land was in 1905. And this particular law talks of 1895. So where do you start? And where do you get the materials? Yeah, and the communal land ownership in Kenya was very fluid. There were no common boundaries. We used to have what was called usufructuary rights. You used land, then you moved on when you got tired of it. And to make matters even worse, the coastal strip had a different legal system. We had the Sultan of Oman exercising domain at the coast and establishing land. That's why we have Mazrui Land Act and all those other issues. So I would ask that as we support, we have an open mind and we make those amendments as I've suggested. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Well, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, are you on a point of order? Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I just want to rise on standing order number 1. I don't have my standing orders, but this is something that can be within your discretion. That, Madam Speaker, we are proceeding in this House like everything is normal, and we are hearing rumors of an air crash involving the CDF, Francis Ogola, and 5 others. Madam Speaker, that is something of national interest and serious national concern. Our Majority Leader is here. I think it would be good if he can allay our fears, or if it is true, so that we can deal with this. And I think it would be appropriate for us as a House not to proceed with the Land Commission bill when we're having such a serious national or issue of national interest. Can he confirm whether the issue of the crash is true or whether it's merely a rumor? This is a very serious issue, Madam Speaker. Can we please be updated? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hear what the Honorable Millie says. All that I can confirm, Honorable Speaker, is that it's indeed true that there has been a crash of a KDF helicopter, which you have seen in the news. And being responsible leaders also, we do not want to speculate as to the cause of the crash. We are all awaiting news. It is being reported in the news that a number of people have lost their lives, and there are few who have survived. I think it's only fair that we leave it to the defense forces and the military to be able, because they're already on the ground, to confirm how many people have lost their lives, how many have survived, and once they identify the identity of those who are there, to maybe first communicate to their kin before the news is broken in any other manner. I think that's the most responsible thing to do. And let me take this opportunity to just convey my condolences to the families of those who may have lost loved ones in that crash, and say it is unfortunate that had to happen, I'm told, somewhere in Elgeyo Marakwet. And I would beg, Honorable Speaker, that we leave it at that, so that we do not get into speculation. Since we do not know which officers were in that flight, we do not know who has survived, who has passed on, so that we allow the relevant authorities to do what they need to do. First, communicate to the families of the ones who may have lost their lives, and the country will be updated by the relevant authorities at the right time, Honorable Speaker. I would really beg that we leave that matter at that for now.
Honorable members, I see 2 interventions, but I will suggest that I will not entertain the points of order. I suggest, honorable members, that we proceed as per what has been stated by the Majority Leader, taking into account the sensitivity of the matter that has been raised by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Honorable members, I would like to state that we proceed as per the direction which has been given by the Majority Leader. Honorable members, I'm avoiding us getting into discussion on a matter in this House that is not very clear to us. So, members, I would like to request. Honorable members, I'll give an opportunity to the Honorable Peter Kihungi, member for Kangema. Are you in the House?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I start to support the bill by Honorable Bayer. Madam Speaker, I think one thing I can say is that the limitation that was put on the Act, on the last commission, on the timeline, on when the historical injustice or cases to do with lands can be handled, Madam Speaker, could have affected a lot of some of the things that are very important and some of the land injustices that needed to be sorted. Madam Speaker, as per now, most of the lands mostly at the counties has been grabbed. And those who designed the land allocation during the land demarcation, mostly like you observe in the county government or the former local authorities, there was set aside the cemetery, whereby the people can have land maybe to bury those who are homeless, and mostly the provision or the planners who did the planning during that time had foreseen a situation whereby we can no longer continue to bury our people in our land. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I wish to start and say that those lands, mostly the cemetery at the counties, most of them, Madam Speaker, have already been grabbed. I had an instance in my constituency whereby a homeless person or a person who doesn't have land died, and we found that most of those cemeteries has been grabbed and occupied. Madam Speaker, we wish to support the bill whereby anybody who has government land or have grabbed a land, he must understand that that land remains to be a government land, however long it takes.
Sorry to disturb you, Mheshimiwa. I would like to give an opportunity for a point of order by the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I'm raising on two issues. One, given the anxiety that has